I'd like to call this September 9th council work session and regular meeting to order. Would everybody please stand? And let's remember all of those who passed away during the month. Please salute the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Dillon, would you roll call, please?
Mr. President, Ms. Cohen is on vacation. Ms. Rodriguez.
Here.
Mr. Cousins.
Here.
Ms. Figueroa.
Here.
Mr. Johnson.
Here.
Mr. Catricci.
Present.
Mr. Di Giuseppe.
Here. So at this time, I'm going to turn the meeting over to the mayor he's got some proclamations and recognitions tonight.
Thank you. Tonight we have a couple presentations and some special people to honor, but before we do that, I'd like to call up Amy Kaiser from the Bristol Riverside Theater, who we'd like to present a check to in the amount of $10,000. You come up here. So, for those of you who don't know, the Borough helps subsidize the tickets for Bristolians who want to attend the theater at the discounted ticket price. So tonight we'd like to present you with a check, and we appreciate all you do for the Borough. So, thank you.
I'm taking the stage and I'm not supposed to, so I'm in the wrong spot. Thank you very much, and also my back to everybody. I think everybody knows the importance of this program, but we feel that it's very important that in a town this small, with theater this big, the theater going is something that is accessible to absolutely everybody and can be a regular occurrence, not a special occasion. And this program, funded by the borough, makes that possible. Almost 200 people for every single production we do take advantage of this in the borough, which is something like 3% of the adult population of Bristol. It's a huge number. And it's growing and growing. So those of you who already participated in this, tell your friends and neighbors. Maybe they don't know it's available. Tomorrow night is the first borough night of the season. We're over at the Regency Room for the G game. Tomorrow and Wednesday are the first two. And it really is an incredible thing to be able to make theater in a town like this, with a government like this, with a population that's invested and involved. It's not something that is true, I think, anywhere else. So I feel very, very lucky to be part of this Bristol community, and thank you very much for your support and making it possible for everyone.
Real quick before you leave, why don't you give the public a quick 30 seconds on what's actually happening at the theater and why you're in these alternate venues, because I don't think everybody's aware of what's taking place.
So the building has not really been touched since 1986 when it opened as a theater. So we are doing some very critical renovations. Ultimately, there's going to be 3 phases of renovations. This part, the first phase, is going to be a new roof, so it no longer leaks on your head when you come to see a show. New seats, so that you won't fall through them when you come to see a show. New lighting and electrical upgrades. New wheelchair accessible seating. New theatrical lighting. The next phase, which will happen shortly thereafter, will be a new front on Radcliffe Street. And ultimately, what we're doing is making the entire theater accessible. So there will be every entrance, front and back, will be wheelchair accessible. There will be elevators, additional bathrooms, all of which we think are pretty important. So first phase is beginning now, and we'll be back in the theater in January for the first show of 2025. And in the meantime, we've got 2 shows at the Regency Room, which you will not recognize when you come over because it now looks like a theater. And then the Christmas show will be at St. Anne's Church for the Christmas concert.
Awesome. Thank you.
So 2 things. You want me to try to sell any more chairs?
Yeah, go for it. I'm not missing on that.
So we sold how many?
65, I believe.
So I sold 65 chairs for $1,000 a chair. So anybody at home want to buy a chair, they're $1,000 a piece. Contact, you get your name put on it. So we did a good job as a fundraiser for my brother-in-law that night, and we sold a lot of chairs.
We have 190 left to go, so.
Anybody interested, contact the
Pay
theater.
installments.
All right, Amy.
Thanks, Amy.
One thing, congratulations to the theater. They were featured on Channel 6 ABC News this weekend quite a few times, and they talked about the gin game, and it was a very good plug for the theater.
Thank you,
So
thank
keep
you.
up the good
Glad you're
work.
watching.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to bring up Chief Moores and Sergeants Ellis and Sergeant Lepore. So tonight we're here to recognize these two gentlemen for exemplary service. I mean, these two officers went above and beyond the call of duty back on August 5th of this year to help save a gentleman who tried to commit suicide off of our docks. And between their response time, their efforts, and the help of a local boater, we were able to save this gentleman's life. So we want to publicly thank both of you gentlemen for everything you do for the borough day in and day out, but especially this day of exemplary service and what you did to save that gentleman's life. Thanks. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Picture, wait a minute.
The next person we like to recognize, I like to call up John Mundy. So for those of you who don't know, Mr. Mundy, as I call him and known my entire life, started the Mill Street Run back in 1967, and it just celebrated its 55th year here in Bristol Borough. He started, correct me if I'm wrong, the track program at Holy Ghost, started the Mill Street Run when you were attending college, and this has become one of the biggest borough events that happens year in and year out, the first Saturday after Labor Day. So Mr. Mundy, we want to thank you for everything you've done for the Mill Street Run, but also for everything you've done for Bristol Borough. So I want to present you with this.
Well, everyone is aware of the term unintended consequences. And years ago in the 60s, 50s, Mill Street sponsored a Christmas parade for Bristol. I remember watching the parade about 66, 65, and thinking how neat it would be to have a race where the runners ran down the street to the cheers and applaud of the honoring the people who were racing. And make it long story short, we started with talking to the Mill Street Businessmen Association and Betty Weatherall, there's a name from the past, and we talked with borough government at the time, and off we started with the Mill Street Run. And we've done this for 55 years. It hasn't caused any problems. Traffic snafu hasn't cost the borough any money. And this year, our 55th year, we had over 500 runners come into town, and we've had 19 schools come into town. And the whole object of, if you will, the mission statement of the Mill Street Run is to bring people into Bristol to have a positive experience. Many of these events are big money raisers for some cause or some school program. We've actually structured our fees in the last couple of years so that the high schools can compete for no fee. The children and the elementary school child who wants to run can run with no charge involved. So to make a long story short, we had our best run ever, but the best is yet to come.
Thank you.
So thanks for your patience listening to those few words. And nowadays, there are many people to thank. The borough always had my back. They were always very supportive. My family, the Union family, and in particular, Jim Scanlon and Ryan Patrick Mulhern deserve a lot of credit. They've been bringing a lot of management support. So, see you next year, always a Saturday after Labor Day.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to bring up Mr. Joseph Domidio and the Domidio family, please. So for those of you who are unaware, Mr. Domidio will turn 100 years old on September 28th of this year. Mr. Domidio was a businessman in town. He's a pillar of the community. He stormed the beaches of Normandy in World War II. And for those of you who are unaware of the statistics, less than 1% of those individuals are still alive today. So Joe, we're here to present you with this proclamation. We wish we're here to present you with another one next year and the year after. And God bless you and everything you do, and we appreciate everything you've done for Bristol Borough.
Thank you.
So thank you.
I was born and raised here in Bristol, and so glad that you honor me. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bring the family up.
Bring them up and I'll get Craig to send you some pictures.
Come on up.
I gotta call you. How you making?
God bless you.
Before you leave,
A couple of years ago.
Joe, I have two things I want to say before you leave. Two things I want to say. One, you got more hair than most of the people standing here. You look good. And the other thing is Sunday, you're still paying for breakfast for 100 years old. You'd think they would treat you, right? Take it while you can, right? God bless you. All right. See you, Joe.
See you, buddy.
Okay, so anybody, public participation on this side of the room? Nobody? Okay, that ends public participation. Okay, Brian, you have anything?
I was asking about the fire hose. Let's see if we can go over the fire hose on Tuesday
Right.
to see what's going on.
Anything else? Maria? Louis?
The only thing I have is next October 7th, the Monday night would be our meeting night. I'm asking if we can postpone that until the 14th. The Rotary Club of Bristol is honoring Mr. Dillon as their man of the year at their golf outing. And the Rotary's celebrating their 100th year, so this is a very special event with a very special honoree. So, and if anyone's interested in attending or sponsoring a sign, maybe Matt can put up the flyer with the information, but it'll be at Yardley Country Club, and just a kickoff for our 100th anniversary, so hopefully we can postpone the meeting till the 14th.
Absolutely. Congratulations. You deserve it.
October 7th.
You're almost 100, right? Lee, what do you have?
I have no comment this evening.
Betty?
I just want to make sure that I just let the people in the borough know that 4 weeks, they probably do know, but 4 weeks ago we lost Benny Rivera, who was a resident of Bath Street and a long life resident of Bristol Borough. He was a real Bristolian who walked around every morning making sure everything was right. And if it wasn't right, he'd let you know. So my condolences to the Rivera family for the loss of Mr. Rivera.
I'm sorry. What do you have?
I just have a couple things. I just want to remind everybody that this Saturday, September 14th, from 10 to 11 a.m. is a rally for breast cancer awareness and to beat breast cancer. There will be music there, people just celebrating the breast cancer survivors, and rally at the waterfront to beat breast cancer and bring breast cancer awareness to Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is next month in October. I want to thank our chief, the fire police, the rest of the Bristol Borough Fire Department. We had an insane weekend in the borough this weekend. We had Italian Day, we had Fishing with a Cop, we had the Mill Street Run. Unfortunately, they all happened on Saturday, which was when my daughter had volleyball, and by the time I got back, it was raining. But I want to thank them for all their support they do for these great events. They all went off without any issues, any altercations, and that's just a testament to our police chief and department and what our gentlemen do on the streets. I also want to quickly mention that, I brought this up before, and I really want to ask council that by the next council meeting to adopt some kind of ordinance where we either install meters or resident parking on the 100 and 200 block of Cedar and Wood Streets. With all the activities that happen on Mill and Market, these residents are the ones that are extremely inconvenienced. The economic boom is great, but I think we need to do something for these residents. I've been to many communities where the signs are posted, it says resident permit parking only, or the resident gets at least a pass and we meter it so they can park their free and visitors have to pay, but we need to do something on these, like 4 blocks right off the mill, because it's not fair to the residents. So I definitely want to talk about having something on the agenda before next month's meeting for that. The only other thing I want to update council and the public on is that we did have a meeting with the Bristol Borough Fire Board, well actually Steve Reeves and our Fire Chief Kirk Slack, to start moving forward with the design of a firehouse. It's very conceptual because there's a lot involved, and what happens is you have to take the apparatus they have and the equipment and our wants for training rooms and different things and offices, and conceptually start putting it on paper from a space standpoint. And then from there, we'll move to, once we know that it's functional and it meets the specifications of our firemen in town and the fire chief, we will then move forward to start designing a building. Our goal is to have a building designed by the end of this year so that we can move forward with, in pursuing some funding and construction by next year. We do not have a placement for the firehouse yet. So I want to go on the record of saying, ideally, yes, we want to try and put the firehouse where the community garden is and the basketball courts because it's dead center location of town. But I also want to go on the record and say, if that happens, this council and myself are committed to relocating those basketball courts and that community garden to a new location, or it might even stay on that site but just be positioned in a different spot. And we can guarantee you it'll be probably even bigger and better than what you see now. So we are committed to keeping that in place. It's a huge asset to our community, but we are first and foremost committed to fire safety. What we're doing as a council and the mayor and the 4 fire departments, it's pretty historic that you're able to have 4 fire departments come together for the future of fire safety in this town that's going to last way past my lifetime and my daughter's lifetime and probably her kid's lifetime. This is for generations and generations to come. So we are committed to building a state-of-the-art firehouse that'll also serve as a community room, training for our police department. And the other thing that no one's aware is that we potentially have a situation where we might be able to bring the Bucks County Rescue Squad into town, which will also service the residents of Bristol Borough better by having them located right there off Jefferson Avenue. So we are committed first and foremost to the fire safety of this town for generations to come, but we are definitely guaranteeing that that community garden and those basketball courts will be in place in Bristol Borough, regardless of where the firehouse is located. And that's all I have.
Okay. Betty, did I go to you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I have a few things. So, council's been talking a lot about projects in town, and we had meetings, with individual councilmen and the rec board and the guys on the rec board, and which are doing a phenomenal job. I mean, I can't thank you guys enough for, how much time and effort you're putting into, and you got a good team. So, to move forward, and we talked about the baseball fields and different things, so these are the projects that Gilmore is now involved with, that he's going to have, hopefully, in the next couple months, some answers to some of these problems that we have. So the one is the walking path for the entire town needs to be redone, trees cut, the roots are coming up again. So we need to look at that entire path, even if it means widening it by a few feet, because when kids are on bikes or people are on strollers, they got to weave. Maybe we could do a bike lane, or we could do something. That's that's a major asset to this town. The other thing is the renovation of the baseball fields, the dugouts, and the press box. We're trying to do it in-house, it's not working. And I'll be the first to say I thought it would work. Our guys are extremely talented, but there's only so much people can do with their time. So again, we're going to make sure that this goes out to bid as soon as possible and get this thing moving. Lee, Brian, Lorraine, Greg, Betty is instrumental in this recreation program, which they want to do a improvement to the Otter Street complex. And when I say an improvement, I mean lighting, expand the playground, and pave the parking lot across the street for people. So we want to totally redo that and maybe a press box with a concession stand or a concession stand. We're talking maybe bathrooms, we don't know yet, but this is all has to be done, Kurt, and we want to do it. We want to get moving with these projects. The entire town, every playground in town needs to be redone and expanded. So they're 30 years old. I mean, they saw, they're at the end of their life. We keep patching them and putting them together. So council wants to move forward on that. Our gateways coming into town, Old Route 13, Bath, Green Lane, we need to clean them all up and try to get new signage, maybe some lighting, and we want to clean up all 13. Man, Jim has been working with Roman Haas trying to get that gateway redone. I don't know what it's going to take where the old tracks were. Maybe we could pave it and extend the walking path. But the festivals right now, the parking is everywhere. So we're trying to create parking in that Roman Haas parking lot side for all the events, which would be great. I was on a phone again today with Tina Davis regarding the track, and I was on a phone with Mr. Ciccoletti today, the president of the school board, waiting on an answer for the track. I think we have a very good shot of getting this $400 and some thousand. Tina's pushing very hard for this money. They're going to award it sometime in September or early October. So I'm hoping we have some kind of a answer before our October council meeting. But that would be a great thing if we can get this money for the school board and put a new track in. And the last thing is we talked a lot about expanding recreation to seniors. And it was brought up in an executive session because we're spending money that the senior center across the street needs a lot of work. And maybe we incorporate that with our funding through recreation. I know they need a heater, they need different things. Harris Fuel's been there trying to give us some kind of a update on what we really need to do. But we know there's a lot that has to get done over there. So I think council's committed that we're going to move forward with something. We'll have a meeting with Mr. Lebo and Gail Oshlag, hopefully in the next month, so we can prepare for what we're going to do across the street. But again, there's more things we could do with seniors, and if we use that facility, I think council feels, right, Brian, and we talked about, that's the best place to do it. So we already have a building, let's make the building update it and make it state of the art and do what we have to do. So that's where we are with a lot of projects. I'm sure there's some things I may have missed, or somebody may say, well, what do you didn't think about this. And let me just go back to funding. When somebody says, well, why don't you take this money, and I've been repeating myself for over 20 years. The funding is only for the project. So if there's a project that's in town, like the sound wall is being put in because there's funding for that wall, for that location. You can't put a wall on top of the highlights. So when people say, well, why don't you just put it up on top of the highlights? You can't. There's no wall that's up that high. So, and it has to be spent for that, nothing else. All right, the last thing is, I guess Matt can get a picture of this. So we have a problem on Mill Street. Matt can show this. These are fuses that are in the ground on Mill Street. They control all the lighting. So everything, it's been, I think Louis said, over 30 years since this was fixed or they put in on Mill Street. So we have a meeting, it's on our agenda tonight. It's 113,000, I think, off the top of my head. 127,000 to upgrade these boxes and everything all along Mill Street. The lights, the head of the lights are tilting. So I'm going to ask council tonight to table this because I want to get a meeting with Gilmore and the contractor who's on the co-star bid list, correct?
Yes.
So he's on the bid list, we could award this, but I want to get, since I'm in business, I would like to get more information on why we need to change, because they want to put 10 pedestals on Mill Street, and they're like 4 or 5 feet high, and we have a sample in the other room. Maybe that is the only way, but this thing here, as far as I'm concerned, maybe they make a waterproof box. So I want to get more information before we spend 120-some thousand tonight. So I'm going to ask you to table this, and we'll have it on October's meeting, because they're saying this has to get addressed immediately, because we have a major problem down there with the lighting, and even in the parking lot has a problem. So just to let everybody know where we're at with this. Any questions on this? Okay,
Mr. President, also, you know, it's now a code requirement,
right.
not just a problem, it's more of a code-directed requirement for the borough to make the changes.
Right, we thought we could fix them. You can't, because this is basically, you can't use, it's illegal to put this system back in. So there has to be a whole new system. I just don't know, are they rewiring underground? I don't know what they're doing. So I think with Kurt involved and Gilmore and myself, we'll get to the bottom of it. We'll have an answer by October's meeting to proceed in October. And that's about it.
Can I just make a couple quick comments?
Yep.
I have a list here of, summer's over and everybody thinks that the events are over in town after Italian Day, but we have a lot of events still planned for the through September and October. So I just want to put it out there to the public that this, I mentioned the breast cancer event on Saturday, but Sunday we have a Sunday stroll happening in town. For those of you that have been to Sunday stroll, great event. Food vendors are lining Mill Street. Other vendors are lining Mill Street. It is a wonderful time, and now that summer's over and people aren't going down the shore, I am sure this is going to be a very crowded and great event for Bristol Borough. September 21st, we have our Oldies on the River concert, which is an annual event in town where thousands of people come for a free concert. I repeat, a free concert down on the Bristol waterfront. We have food trucks that'll be down there. The event starts at 6 p.m. With the main shows, and we have shuttles that run from across the street in the Lennox parking lot across from Caesars, starting at I think 3 or 4 o'clock, which will shuttle you down to the waterfront. Also, September 29th, we are having an event celebrating General Lafayette's 200th celebration coming through Bristol Borough, and that is going to be a really fun event down at the corner of Mill and Ratcliffe. There is a parade that starts down at Adams Hollow Creek, down Ratcliffe Street. We are dedicating some new street signs for this event, and down on the corner of Mill and Ratcliffe, it'll be a very fun celebration with music. The restaurants, a lot of the restaurants are participating with drink and food specials to commemorate this event, so I recommend you come down September 29th. That starts at 2 p.m. The end of it, like I said, will be at the corner of Mill and Ratcliffe. And I want to also mention October 19th. I know it's early, but mark your calendar, is our 47th annual Historic Bristol Day, which is always one of the great fall events in our community. The last thing I do want to mention real quick is you mentioned the sound wall. This sound wall is something that started way before I was ever, involved as the mayor. There are residents on Trenton Avenue to complain. This isn't about the trains that pass by. This isn't about Amtrak. This isn't about SEPTA trains. This is about a lot of the rail lines that are servicing the businesses out on Hunter Roads. Engines idling, they do switching now in the middle of the night. For those of you who are unaware with switching, that's when the rail cars are banging. This isn't the normal rail traffic that has happened in the borough for generations. This is different rail traffic, and that's why this was brought to the congressman years ago. And we worked so good with our elected officials, he was able to get the CEO of Conrail to come visit our site. Like, that's how good of a relationship we have with somebody like Congressman Fitzpatrick's office. So myself, Councilwoman Cullen, Councilman Pezza was there, Council President was there, Mr. Dillon was there, and that started the ball moving forward on what needed to be done. And then this funding became available, and the congressman said, let's see what I can do for you. And I'm happy to announce that we have the funding. The funding has been delivered to Bristol Borough. We are working through the sound study, and hopefully by early next year, we have something in place to move forward with that, to especially help the residents out in Trenton Avenue. So, now I'm pushing.
He got 2 bites at the apple tonight, didn't he?
Jim, what do you have?
This is the time of the year that we have the opportunity to apply for casino grant funding. And some of the projects that we'd like to apply for are Public Works pickup truck, which would have a plow and salt spreader on the back enclosed. It's hard to believe that winter is right around the corner. Hopefully it won't be a rough winter, but anyhow, that would be one of the applications. The other would be for 2 police patrol vehicles. The chief has requested that. Also cameras for the Public Works upgrade, as well as the intersection of Green Lane and Wilson Avenue, which will also look at the issue of the flooding and all. Maybe give our police some heads up information, as well as a requested camera out on Route 13 in Bath. Also, we're looking at applying for improved lighting on Mill Street, as well as the Mill Street parking lot and along the waterfront and other areas in town. And last but not least is requesting funding for another ambulance for the Bucks County Rescue Squad. So that's on your agenda, requesting authorization to file for grants for casino funding through the Bucks County Redevelopment Authority. So that's on your agenda. Also, there's discussion about updating our borough zoning ordinance, zoning map, master plan, subdivision, land development ordinance. It hasn't really been updated overall in about 10 years, 10, 12 years. Last week, I, along with Sally Bellaspica and Councilman Pezza, met with Lynn Bush and talked to her about providing council with a proposal to oversee and work with council on updating these various ordinances and zoning maps. Lynn Bush used to be the executive director of the Bucks County Planning Commission for a number of years, and I think having her help council and Sally will be a tremendous asset for the town. So hopefully she will send us a proposal for your consideration for next month. And I guess that's about it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna, on that, once we approve this, I'm gonna appoint Mr. Catroci and Mr. Pezza to serve on the zoning board, along with Mrs. Rodriguez. Try to get somebody in every district to try to make this work. So she's very good at what she does. So I think we're on the right track. Jim reached out to her. Anything else? So we also applied, we have some grant applications that are in. The one grant application that we applied for is the Adams Hollow Creek flood mitigation. We applied for 1.9 million to try to get that resolved. The Green Lane stormwater pipe replacement is $3 million, $3,073,663 to try to get that stormwater management straightened out over there. We applied for the Seabird Riverbank erosion at $726,479, and the waterfront park flood improvements at $1,945,000. So we have a lot of irons in the fire right now that we're trying to get. And we got like the mayor said, we have good relationships with a lot of people to try to make some of this happen, but we're committed no matter what, we have to get some of these projects started. Anything else? No. Mr. Garden?
I just want to announce that the council met in executive session for about an hour before the meeting to discuss personnel matter, labor relations matter, and received informational items concerning the pedestals and the electrical things we just talked about. But no decision will be made at this meeting concerning the content of the executive session.
Thank you. Okay, so if nobody has anything else, I need a motion for number 2.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to accept the council meeting minutes for August 12, 2024, accept the treasurer's report for July 2024, accept the police reports for August 2024, accept fire reports for August 2024, accept inspection reports for August 2024, accept public works reports for August 2024, accept the harbor report for August 2024.
Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Figueroa. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 3.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the filing of grant applications for casino funding through the redevelopment authority.
Second by Mr. Cousin. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 4.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution for the 2025 minimum municipal obligation for the non-uniform pension plan in the amount of $489,342.01.
Second by Mr. Catroci. Questions or comments? The only thing I like to comment on this, 20 years ago, I think it was like 70-some thousand, 80,000. It's up to almost $500,000 for the non-uniform. So we'll tell you what the next one is. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 5.
Mr. President, I'd like to approve resolution for the 2025 minimum municipal obligation for the uninformed pension plan in the amount of $683,209.24.
Second by Mr. Catroci. Questions or comments? Again, this was maybe $100,000. So it shows you that you need over $1 million just to try to balance these 2 pension funds. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 6.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution for the 2025 minimum municipal obligation with a non-uniform defined contribution pension plan.
I have a second. Second by Mr. Cousin. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 7.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve retaining architect Tracy Miller at $125 per hour to assist in formulating concept plans for the new firehouse.
Second by Mr. Catroci. Questions or comments? The only thing I would like to say is she gave us an hourly rate, and once they get done with everything, she'll put in a proposal to design the building. So this is the key meeting to keep this thing going. Other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 8.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to table number 8.
All those in favor to table?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion tabled.
Mr. President, I'd like to make another request on the agenda tonight.
Okay. So we're not adding anything to the agenda, or we are adding something?
You should add it to the
No,
agenda
we
if you're going to take action on it. The
Yeah.
discussion we
So
had
then-
concerning the personnel matter.
I need a motion to add something to the agenda. So Betty, you're making the motion?
Yes.
So second by Mr. Cousin. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Okay, the request is going to be that we change, it'll take effect October, November, December. And our chief per year was making, fire chief was making 3,500. Is going to go up to I'm getting it all wrong, I'm sorry. From 4,500 to 8,000 a year. And the fire marshal from 500 to to $3,000 a year. Also, the senior deputy, who was making $3,500 a year, is going to go up to $5,000, and a junior second deputy will make $5,000 a year also. And that will take effect October, November, and December of this year.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on anything?
You can add this to the agenda because number one, it just came to light because of the discussion you had with the individuals in late August. You don't have another meeting until after October 1st, and you want to get this done before October 1st. That's the reason why it's appropriate to amend the agenda accordingly.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
One comment I'd like to make is-
Your mic is muted.
The comment I'd like to make is that there's actually not even been an increase, but a decrease in some of the compensation over the past 8 years. So this is righting some of the things that have fallen through the crack budget-wise, and we just couldn't do it. So that's why people may think it's radical change, but this has been going on for quite a while.
Yes.
I'd just like to comment and say that I'm fully in favor of this increase, and I think that our chief and his 2 deputies do a phenomenal job in this town. Again, I've said this in the past, and I will, repeat it till I'm blue in the face. Anybody that can leave what they're doing and leave their family at the drop of a dime to save somebody's life voluntarily has my utmost respect, and I hold them to the highest, honors and standards. So I appreciate all 3 of these men, and also our chief, as the fire marshal does plan reviews, inspections. There's a lot involved in what he does from that avenue. Also, he investigates when there is a fire in town. So I appreciate you doing this for the chief and the 2 deputies, and I just wanted to publicly give my support.
Is that it? Any other comments? So with that, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do I have anything else? Can I get a motion to adjourn? By Ms. Rodriguez, second by Ms. Figueroa. Meeting adjourned.